kind of liking the quiet stream so far, but I guess I should do at least an announcement. Welcome back. Looks like we're live on YouTube on Scanlime-in-Progress, as well as twitch.tv/scanlime and live.diode.zone/scanlime. It's kind of like the station announcement at the top of the hour or something, right? Anyway, I'm not in an extremely talkative mood, and I feel like I've already got so much footage to edit that there's not really a point to filming a whole lot more. But at the same time, I just went to check the mail, and there was a lot there, including some somewhat time-sensitive stuff. So I figured I would at least get into the time-sensitive stuff, and we'll see where else this goes. And maybe we could also use this as an opportunity to talk about just the overall format and kind of meta of what we're doing here, if folks are into that. We don't have to, though. Make sure these packages are properly redacted. The ceremonial formatting of the card. Oh gosh. I forgot to fix the auto exposure here. Sorry about that. I can't really trust the auto exposure at all, and the manual exposure is vastly different at night versus during the day, as you might expect. Alright, yeah, hello everyone, welcome back. So we've got kind of a massive pile of things here. So yeah, these came in at the P.O. box recently. And this is something that I ordered that I thought that I might share with you folks, and it's actually somewhat time critical, so I might open this one first, and then we can get into whatever else we have time for. Yeah, I've been just like deep in video editing, and it gets kind of depressing because it's really hard to keep, you know, it's like hard to keep the scope in mind. I feel like when I'm streaming, I have this somewhat direct connection to at least a small number of you who are here with me, and that seems to at least help me, you know, figure out what the scope should be and have a good dialogue sometimes. Whereas the edited videos, I feel like those can potentially reach a lot more people, but it's really hard to know what to make, and so I get stuck a lot of the time there. But yeah, this might actually have like packing slips or something with info that I don't want to share, so I'm going to open this kind of carefully. Yeah, I had no idea when this was going to arrive. I ordered it like a couple of weeks ago now, and I thought I was going to have another email with tracking info, but I guess they just shipped it at some point, and so yeah, I wasn't even sure if I was going to have tracking info, so I was kind of keeping an eye out for this. Let's see. No info so far. There are, what are these? I don't know if this is something I ordered or if this is like a piece of packing material. All right. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? Here's, I definitely ordered these. Let's get you a better angle. Yeah, so this is a slightly different unboxing than I usually have. Oh gosh, Tuco is going to be all over this. come around. Tuco. I'm gonna have to keep him away from these things. Oh gosh, Tuco. Okay, Tuco, you can have the packing material after I make sure it doesn't have anything sensitive in it. Hey, Tuke. Tuke, you wanna hang out with this stuff? Hey, Tuke. It's crinkly and on the floor, two of your favorite things. Alright, so we've got leaves. We've got, I think this is just like some kind of dry pack, but I'm not totally sure. Let's see what else we've got. I want to make sure I can ditch the packing slip off camera here. Let's actually get Tuco back on camera here. Oh, Tuco. Honey. Okay, so one of these is a packing slip, which doesn't have information that you all will find useful. Another one of these is information about the leaves. This is some more packing. Tuco, this one's for you. Oh, Tuco is actually into this now. Can I get this on camera? Oh yeah, there we go. These leaves are kind of warm. I wonder if this, oh, this thing in the, I think this is some kind of heating pack, actually. I think this is like a warm pack. I don't know what's in here, though. It's like some kind of, feels like moss or something. I wonder if it's like a biological warm pack of some kind. Some more packing material. So yeah, they would need a warm pack at this time of year. Oh gosh. Oh, Tuco's doing great here. No, Tuke's awesome at this. I can get right down in here too. I'm just gonna sip my coffee while we take a Tuco break here. I'm not gonna let you miss any of the unboxing here. Yeah, it was pretty good. I was having kind of a depressing day of editing video, and then I was taking a walk to buy some coffee and maybe some food, and I went to the post office on the way back, and there was some good stuff waiting. Oh yeah, Tuco likes, I mean, Tuco and I kind of share some of the same attractors there. We both, I think, like crinkly things and things that are on the floor. Hi, Tuco. Oh, are you gonna help me with this now? Okay, don't hurt my bugs, Tuco. We keep giving away what's in this box, too. Oh, Tuco's gone all pointy now. Okay, let's get back on track here. So we've got leaves, we've got what seem to be warm packs. At least that's my favorite explanation so far. I guess I could check the packing slip off camera. That might actually indicate. Oh, it says thanks. That's great. So yeah, I think those are just warm packs. So, and then we've got, oh yeah, substrate. Oh yeah. I know this isn't usually what I unbox here, but we've got some vivarium substrate. This is basically like potting soil, but for bugs. You know, it's like a mixture of the kind of stuff you'd find on the floor of the, you know, the forest. It's like moss and bits of bark, and the bark is important because that's what they eat, the isopods. But yeah, lots of moss in here. I think little bits of charcoal and stuff too. That's really helpful. So that goes on the bottom, and then the leaves go on top because the bugs really like to eat leaves. More packing material. Oh yeah, and then we got some snack food for them, some bug burger. They mostly eat leaves, but this is like kind of a fortified like superfood kind of thing for them, so it's like they really like it. It also helps them get all the extra nutrients that they might not just be getting from the leaves. Oh yeah, and then I think these are the buggos. Let's carefully open this. I'm curious about those warm packs too. I don't even know what's going on there, but it seems like it might be some kind of like heating, decomposing moss or something. Oh gosh, debugging. I don't want to have to debug. I'm more into adding bugs. Platypus is wondering why I ordered leaves. I mean, I could have gone out and collected the right kind of leaves, but like it's easy to get just like consistent leaves that are a variety that they like, because it's not as easy to just like find good leaves around here. I could try some local leaves though. You do have to like bake them to make sure that they don't have any kind of pests on them or anything. But yeah, I mean, I could have just gotten some leaves locally. It was just easier to find consistent batches of them from these folks who like do this for a living. They're not expensive. Oh yeah. Oh, they look fine. Isopods. Hey Tuco, you want some more paper? Oh yeah. Oh, this is great. So I gotta make a little spot for them to live now. It looks like they had a pretty good amount of food in here for the journey. This does not seem to be very ventilated, but it is also probably not airtight. Yeah, so chocolate is the particular kind of color variety that these have. The actual species is Armadillidium maculatum. Oh, cute little guys. Oh, I think I might just try to make their little habitat set up before I actually open this, so we can just do that really quick. I've got most parts nearby. Oh, Tuco's in the box already. Here I am hitting the camera with my head. Oh gosh, I don't want Tuco to eat these bugs, but I don't know if he'll be interested in them, we'll see. Oh gosh, I gotta clean up this paper before it's a slipping hazard. Trying to collect all the materials here, and meanwhile Tuco is really enjoying this box. Let's get a good view of Tuco on the box. Oh, you're not trying to open that hot pack, are you? Let's keep this away from you. I don't actually know what's in here. Does that box smell like reptiles and bugs, Tuco? Needed a hot glue gun and a knife and a water sprayer and some other stuff. So I need to make a little container for them to hang out in. I may need to make something bigger later on, but I think a lot of people use, actually, it turns out, the same kind of little like 6-quart Starlight containers that I use for shop organization for places to raise bugs. So I'm actually going to prepare something kind of like that, which might be a temporary home, but we'll see how much they like it. It kind of tracked him. This is when it would be really good if the camera could do a more automatic job of hanging out with the CAD. Oh yeah, an Isopod cast. That would be great. Yeah, I was thinking maybe once I get the basics under control, I might try to put some cameras in with the Isopods. Sorry if the stream's a little more disorganized than usual. I just have a lot of objects to arrange, more so than usual. Oh, Tuco, and Tuco is really interested in all these new things. Hey, Tuco. Gosh, I don't know where to put any of these objects. All right. Zoom out for isometric, yeah, pretty much. So, I was going to try to cut a hole on top of this and just put some cheesecloth over it. 2 holes maybe. Oh, Tuco is really getting into that pile of fluff over there. That's pretty good. I'll roughly mark out some locations for ventilation here. Tuco's still into that wrapping over there. This cut's a little easier than I was expecting. Wow. In fact, I might try to round these. Different species of pill bugs or isopods like different amounts of ventilation. These kind of want more than average. Tuco. Oh, Tuco. Hugo's trying to open this warm pack. There's probably something in here that smells interesting to him. I don't know where to put this to keep it away from Tuco other than like in the trash can. Don't necessarily want to throw it away, but I want to keep it away from Tuke. Let's put it over here next to the stuff that I'm here. Oh yeah, and besides keeping isopods just for fun, a lot of people keep them because they're useful for just otherwise having in terrariums to keep the terrarium clean, or sometimes for feeding to reptiles or amphibians. This particular kind is not as common, I think, as for feeding. It's more something that people just have in terrariums because they're cool. So yeah, that material actually cuts super easy, and we can tweak that probably if we need to later. And then cut that in half, and then because it'll probably be easier to cut before gluing it down. I don't know. It might be easier to trim after gluing. I was thinking just kind of glue pieces of this down like that and then trim the excess. I don't know if this is the best material. I might have to replace the material. This is just what I had handy. And I think I could just put the hot glue through the top. Oh, you know what? I thought this hot glue gun was heating, but this is the kind with an on-off switch on the base, which was off. So the hot glue gun was cold this whole time, so I'm just going to take the extra time to trim these pieces. I can also put the substrate in the container, get it wet, and put the leaves on top. I don't really need the top ready before we have the bugs in there. I keep calling them bugs because I like the word bug, but they're technically not bugs as far as you can say anything technical about the word bug. Also trying to keep my isopods ROHS compliant here. Oh yeah, so, I mean, this is something we might talk about off and on the streams, but the issue of video format kind of keeps coming up. Like, what should I be making? How long should it be? Who's the target audience? And even as far as, like, should I be focusing on streams, or should I be focusing on edited content? And I feel like I get vastly different answers to that question depending on where I look. So I don't even know. Curious. I don't know if any of you have thoughts, or maybe we can just talk about this. Because then, you know, some people do seem to have shows that a lot of folks like that are just streams and don't do any editing, which would save a lot of time, but I also feel like I don't know if that's what I want to make. I also don't know if that's well, I don't know. It's like hard for me to answer the question of like what I actually want to make, because I don't really want most things. Like, I'm just kind of burned out on a lot of this stuff, and I don't really want to make a lot of this stuff, but to the extent that I feel like it's kind of what I need to do, like, I don't really know how to aim that. So I don't know. And, like, it's hard to just use other media that I enjoy as a guide, because I don't tend to enjoy much other media. I don't know. Is this going to be warm yet? That's going to take a while to warm up now. Dang. Missed opportunity. Let's get the other part ready. so I washed and dried this part. Let's see. Start opening the substrate. Folks like the big Clive style minimal editing. What do you like about that? Oh geez, here's another piece that apparently came out of my magic arm that I didn't notice until now, and I just found it on the floor. Oh. Jeez. I guess that's the thing, like, I don't really enjoy the super minimal editing stuff that much. Like, it's nice to hang out with, but I don't feel like it's really... Like, I find it kind of frustrating as a source of information. And a lot of times the, like, hangout isn't really what I want personally. I messed up this bearing a little bit by running it without that piece for a while. Not in a way that's extremely a problem, but it's not great. Gosh. Could use another hand with this sometimes. To go. Sorry for the camera angle, I really can't do anything about that right now. I'm just trying to put my stuff together. I feel like this is the other problem, is like people are asking for like, it's like I'm a jukebox and people want me to play a specific song and like I can't even like stand up most of the time. Tuco, honey, what are you doing over there? Okay, I think that's better. Okay, now I've got like grease on my hands. I should probably wash that before setting this stuff up for the bugs. Sorry, I was just trying to catch up on shadow. So like the format that I've been trying to go for lately is like, we do some stuff live, then I edit down kind of a summary of that, just like the interesting parts, and then add some voiceover, or maybe I just replace it all with voiceover, you know, and basically come up with an edited version of that. It's just, I don't know how well that works. I don't know, I don't know if it's worth doing, because it takes a huge amount of time to do. I mean, it might actually be useful to go back and do more of like an editing hangout stream, because I tried to do that once before, but I was having some technical problems, and I was just also in this extremely drudgy part of the editing. Whereas I think now I could just show you, like, folks, this is what I have to work with, and like, we could be real about that for a minute, because like, it just takes a huge amount of work to do the stuff that I've been trying to do, and I don't even, like, I feel like I keep getting myself into these situations where I'm doing this project that involves a ridiculous amount of work for this end goal that I don't even know if anybody wants. And that's what I feel like with all this right now. It still feels cool. I don't want to overdo it with the substrate, but I think you want this like a third of the way full or so. That's probably enough to start with. I can always add more substrate. It's hard to remove substrate. Oh, Allison says it's like editing a reality TV show. That is a lot of what it's like. I mean, I'm basically capturing footage from like a multi-camera reality TV set and then editing it down with a crew of one. Like, I don't have a producer, I don't have an editor, I'm just doing all this shit on my own. And then I see all these like shiny YouTube shows doing something, you know, maybe more effective with like this huge crew, and I don't know, it's just like, what format am I even trying to hit, and like, is that worth doing? That's what's often on my mind. But yeah, I can try to show you what's going on with the edited videos and like what state that's into. But like right now I've just got a large number of things that are in various stages of editing. There's basically one video. Well, so I've got that FPGA LED matrix thing, maybe like 80% of the way edited into a collection of three separate episodes. So I'm going to try that format out. But it's just a lot of work. I don't know. I can show you what's going on with that. Okay. I think I want to moisten this before putting in the leaves. And I tried pouring in some water. I think I'm just going to try doing all of this with the spray bottle, though. I'm using distilled water for this because I don't want to hurt any of the organisms in here with chlorine from tap water. And I mean, I could have distilled the water myself, just like I could have like collected the leaves myself, but I didn't. But you certainly can if you'd like to. It doesn't need to be distilled either. Like you can dechlorinate it with those dechlorination drops that you use for aquariums, I think. But it's usually easier to buy either distilled or like spring water or something from the store. Right, I had this in cat punishment mode. I need to switch it to Isopod nourishment mode. Might be less messy to do this with gloves on. Fewer trips to wash stuff off my hands, probably. Trevor's asking if I'd like to not do tech projects like I have other things I'd like to do. No, that's not really it. I'm just super burned out from tech, and like that's basically it. It's not that like I feel like stuck here and like, oh, my passion is to be doing something different. It's like, well, no, this is what I thought I liked, and then I did it for a long time, and now I'm burned out, and like that's basically it. Might be a little easier with gloves. I want to really thoroughly moisten it, but not have standing water or anything. I think it still needs more. And say it says holiday/vacation. People keep saying that, and I don't think it works. Like, I don't think leaving here, like, that doesn't help me at all. Like it does, like literally, there's nothing in that helps. Like, the advice to take a holiday, like, I understand it's well-intentioned, but like, there's nothing in that that's helpful. Like, leaving here doesn't make me less stressed. Being around Tuco and like being around a place that I have some amount of control over is really nice. I like that. It's not that I feel like, oh, there's this thing I'd love to do and I can't do it. I'm stuck doing this stuff that I don't want to do. It's just that I don't like anything anymore. And so I can't make decisions based on what I like and what I don't, because there's just nothing there anymore. Like, I just have to find another way to make decisions. So it's not a big deal. I'm just trying to find other ways to do that. Gosh, this is absorbing a lot. Maybe I should just be pouring water into this instead of spraying. It was nice not to have too much in one spot. I should also be trying to adjust the camera. Yeah, if you can find a way to help me take a vacation from myself, that would be cool, but I don't think most of those work, and the ones that do aren't especially healthy. Like, you can only dissociate so much, you know? You only have so many mental places that you can be that aren't here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I enjoy mentally being elsewhere quite often. It just doesn't really... It's not a strategy for making decisions about what to do in my job, which is what I'm trying to do. Like, this stuff gets a little less sticky, at least to this glove, once it's a little more moist. It's nice. Yeah, I mean, therapy is nice. I've done a lot of therapy. I don't currently have a person that I don't know. I need to, like, maybe find a different therapist, because, like, I don't know if the therapy relationship I had just, like, wasn't working out or what. I just didn't seem to be making any progress with that therapist. That therapist also was not covered by my insurance, so they're just kind of expensive. I don't know what my insurance even covers. Like, I have crappy health insurance. This is starting to look cozier for isopods. Like, it was all just like kind of dry and stuff, and now it's like, oh yeah, I can see bugs hanging out in here. Yeah, I mean, like, I could try, like, some variant of a vacation might be like, stay home, try new things, like, don't worry about being productive for like X amount of time. That might help, but like, I don't know. I mean, that just feels like more avoiding the problem, which feels like I know how to avoid the problem. I've been doing that for a long time. I don't need practice in avoiding it, you know. Gosh, this is still dry at the bottom. Yeah, and I don't know, I'm kind of burned out on traveling too. Like, I had some good traveling experiences, like, on the order of, like, 3 to 5 years ago, and some of that was nice, but like, I'm really burned out on that. Like, I had some really hard experiences traveling also, and I think the reasons that I was traveling then had more to do with just, like, running away from stuff than, like, anything especially healthy, so I don't know. I mean, it doesn't feel like traveling or vacationing are the answer so much as finding, like, more sustainable ways to work. I also just really used to enjoy traveling and vacationing with friends, and I don't know, it was, like, complicated. Sometimes it was hard, but it was nice. In the ways that it was nice, it was actually really, really good. So that was something I miss sometimes, but I also feel like oh, all those just remind me of bad memories now. Remind me of, like, friendships or relationships that didn't end up working out in the end. It's like the traveling was associated with, like, some kind of unnatural peak of the relationship when things were actually, like, seeming really good, and then they were, like, about to fail, like, right after that. I think this might be almost done. I don't want to, like, oversaturate it, but the thing that you do on a more ongoing basis is to only mist one side of the container, so that you then set up kind of a moisture gradient, and the isopods will move around and hang out on one side of the container or the other, and you can adjust your overall watering based on that. That's an interesting suggestion, to go on a date with myself. Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. I haven't thought about that in a while, but, like, I can remember actually having some of those, some experiences where, like, I'd kind of, like, just forgotten how to be happy for a while, and then I just, like, tried doing something nice for myself, and it was really nice. It was like, wow, almost made me cry, actually. Just thinking about that. Yeah, but I mean, it's not like I'm totally alone either. Like, I mean, I've got some IRL friends here, and, like, it's just, even when you're around people, it's like, at least I have this problem where, like, even when I'm around people, it's, like, really hard to be present. Because I think being present is just something that I've kind of learned to avoid in some ways. So I feel like, oh gosh, that's too real. I gotta pull back from that. I don't want to actually be real with anyone. Okay, well, I'm gonna probably stop misting this for a sec, but I'm gonna try maybe gluing on the cheesecloth on the top, putting the leaves on here, misting the leaves in this a little more, and then we can try adding isopods and see if they like it. Yeah, I never really understood how to do self-care. I still kind of don't. It's not good. I don't know how much of this I'm actually getting through the fabric. It seems to be working. Just gotta kind of find the right balance of pressure. It's not terrible. It's like harder to get started because the cheesecloth just wants to stick to the hot glue gun. It's kind of like the successful strategy I'm looking for is almost like 3D printing a single layer of hot glue on top of the cheesecloth. Like the pressure of the bead of glue kind of pushes the cheesecloth down before it can stick to the end of the nozzle. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, I don't know how long that's going to last, but I think I can at least replace it easily if I need to. Okay, yeah, with it held down, I can add a much more effective bead of hot glue right outside that. Okay, let's put that aside for a sec to cool. Coffee break. Sorry I'm a little behind on chat. I'll try to catch up in a sec. Just noticing Lady Starlight saying being physically present and mentally present at the same time can be hard at times. I find that very hard. Yeah. Alright, so these leaves should be ready to go. Let's put some leaves on top. Nice, dry, clean leaves. So yeah, as I was saying, I ordered these leaves from the same place that does the Isopod cultures, this New England herpetoculture. But you can also use leaves from outside. Just make sure that they're a variety that your bugs will like to eat, and make sure that you've baked them to make sure that they're, free of any outdoor parasites or anything. And you can bring them in and then kind of rehydrate them with some of the water you're using for your vivarium. Yeah, they really like these leaves. We'll add some more leaves as these get eaten or decayed, but they'll want a bunch to start off with. Chocolate is the color variety of these. Just some different colors that people find when they're breeding them. Okay. I think we're pretty much ready. Oh yeah, they like compost. Yeah, this is true. I might try to feed some kitchen waste to my little guys, depending on how much they end up liking that. Moving around. Yeah, little buggos. Oh yeah. Let's try just putting this whole container in here. I think we can just gently pour them out here. might clean up easy. Just see if I can gently help these guys out. Oh gosh, I don't want to hurt them. I think I can just dump this out and they'll all be fine. They're just landing on leaves here. Okay. Got all the little guys out of here. Some are rolled up in this leaf pile. Okay, I don't want to disturb this too much because I don't want them to be harmed or anything, but I just wanted to get some of the leaves up on top again. Alright, I think this is mostly good. I am totally new at this if that wasn't obvious, but yeah, just trying to make a nice little home for some bugs here. Let's see if we can see any of them. They might just be getting situated still. Yeah, I think they're all under things. That's where I would be if I was a pill bug here. And I don't see any other bugs. I thought they might have come with some springtails or other critters, but it looks like it's just that one kind of isopod. So we'll have just one kind of bug in here. Oh, here's one. Oh, can we see him? I think we're gonna have to not be so servo AF. Yeah, so I don't know what kind of photography solution I'm going to be using for this longer term. One option might be to put a little USB microscope inside the enclosure with these guys. Yeah, Isopod channel. Oh, Vince, I saw some tiny yellowish things earlier. Oh, okay. Look out for those, I didn't see those. Well, this is cool. I'm happy with this. I'm gonna try to keep the camera on this critter while I put the lid on. See how well my cheesecloth lid works out. Looks like the hot glue is holding just fine. So the lid will help keep, so I don't think they can get out either way because I don't think they can climb these plastic walls. But the lid, I think, mostly will help keep pests out, like fruit flies or other kind of household pests might get in here otherwise. And it also helps regulate the humidity. So you can adjust the size of the openings to try to keep the little bugs at their proper ventilation levels. Yeah, I think it'll be good. I mean, it's a lot of space for, I think I didn't count them, but these usually have like a dozen isopods in them or so. So they have got plenty of space right now, but yeah, if I do have problems with overcrowding, I might need a bigger container, or I might have to find some folks to sell these guys to if they end up reproducing a lot, or just find a way to change their conditions so they don't reproduce quite as much. But yeah, pretty great. That just means that they can climb anything. Fair enough. What folks were claiming who breed these guys say that the plastic containers, they usually don't climb them if they're clean, but yeah. And these lids are not extremely tight, but they're tight enough that I think isopods wouldn't be able to crawl through there. So yeah, I'm happy these guys came in. I wasn't at all sure when they would arrive, so it's nice to have that question answered. I'm gonna try to adjust this camera a little bit to get a better view. might want more leaves soon too, but we'll see how they do with this amount. It's also been pretty chilly here, so as much as I'd like to hang out with these guys just nearby all the time, I might want to keep them in the closet a lot so that it's a little more climate controlled. The pile of leaves is kind of uneven, but that's probably fine. I think I'll move them around a little bit, probably. I was looking for another Isopod and I still haven't found one. Oh yeah, Vincey's wondering about the heating packs. I have not looked at the heating pack yet. I still have one right here. It didn't smell like it was just full of compost, but it's probably full of something. Something like biologically decomposing or something like that. Oh yeah, I saw that fungi talk. That was pretty good. Trying to get these on camera and also get to see them. Yeah, I was just thinking about like where to put them right now. I could also try putting them on top of the server rack, because that's close and I could see them, but it's relatively climate controlled. Just, I don't know. I mean, it's not that warm, but it's like probably warmer than the rest of the shop. But yeah, I might need to actually put them near an actual heater instead of just relying on the ambient temperature. So yeah, I'll have to think about that in the next couple hours. I think for now I'm just going to set these right here on the desk and take a look at what kind of chat has been going on and maybe open some more boxes. Jenny asks about sticking something in the container to monitor temperature and humidity. I mean, we could. I mean, I don't, like, putting electronics in the container is not, it's like easier said than done. Like, it would have to be something that can survive being really wet and, you know, and then, like, where is it going? Are we, like, logging over Wi-Fi? Do we have batteries? I don't know. I mean, yes, I could turn this into a tech problem. I could turn everything into a tech problem. Yeah, let me try to catch up on chat for a sec, sorry. There's a comment earlier that that Drew in Twitch chat that says they like to see all the kind of random mistakes that go along with building something. Yeah, I mean, I like being able to share some of that. I feel like that's one thing that I have to balance a lot when I'm editing. You know, I have to edit down some amount of stuff because otherwise there's just way too much content. I mean, you know, I don't think that many people want to sit and watch like 25 hours of video on one project, but even when I edit it down, sometimes there you know, relatively quick ways that I can include some of the diversions as well. I don't have to have this so far out of reach. It is actually a portable device. Is Tuco still on camera? Because I feel like I'm cheating you all out of cat cam if I'm not keeping this up to date. Where is he? I don't know where Tuco is. Sorry. We'll keep an eye out for him. So yeah, we were talking about vacations and critters. Oh, the vacation from yourself was a line from Total Recall. That's cool. I vaguely remember that. Oh, micro vacations, like half a day. Yeah, that could be nice. I mean, I feel like I already do that a lot. Like, I have plenty of half days when I don't get any work done, and I feel like, oh, well, that counts as a micro vacation, right? Emily has a theory that maybe the actual things aren't bad, that it's not really the burnout, but something deeper and more obscure. That feels familiar too. Like, yeah, maybe there is something a little bit deeper than just the tech stuff being... Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there probably are many layers to it. One layer for me certainly was just this this way that I used to use kind of building some arbitrary technological solution. It kind of used to be this almost like mythological object that could exist in my imagination, that, you know, I could just assume that at some point in the future I'll just make something that's just so awesome that it'll be like, it'll make everything else worthwhile. That was a really nice thing to be able to cling to for a while, but I don't think I can do that. Oh yeah, and then what kinds of self-care are healing versus what kinds are just hedonistic? Yeah, I have that problem too. I feel like I was hanging out with this group of people that was really good. They were really good at self-care, and then I like realized, oh, actually no, they're actually kind of shitty at self-care. They just kind of do all this kind of hedonism that looks like self-care, and like when it comes to actually people that need some care, they're actually shitty at that, and that was annoying too. It's like, not that hedonism itself is necessarily bad, it's just like when that's all you've got, that's a big problem. Oh yeah, the bugs definitely, they will procreate, not extremely fast. So, I mean, it could be like months before we actually notice them procreating at all, but like they will eventually reproduce. That's a lot of the reason people keep them, is that they want more bugs for either like reptile terrarium kind of purposes, or for pets, or for compost or something. I don't know if anybody like really keeps isopods for compost. I think if you're going to do that, you keep worms, but like you could probably do a little bit of composting with isopods if you wanted. Yeah, it is kind of nice to have some new critters to take care of that are, you know, as much as I would like to help out more cats, because I really like helping cats. Like, cats are a huge handful in this shop. I feel like Tuco on his own is pretty hard, and having more cats would be... I mean, I've been there, and I don't know that I want to go back there anytime soon, but I don't know. There's some kittens nearby that need a home. At least last time I saw them, they needed a home, and that was certainly something I thought about, but I don't think I have room in my life for that right now, sadly. Yeah, wetware. Yeah, and I haven't like looked into like reptile heating pads or anything. I have just like a thermometer on the wall in the printer closet, which gives me some information because I've got a camera pointed at it. Actually, thermal camera would be useful if we were going to look at those heating packs. This doesn't seem to be warm. But maybe it's just not still active. So like, that's my hand. It's like a little cool spot there. The warm spot, I think, is just where I've been handling it. This might just be desiccant, but I don't know. It might just be an exhausted warm pack. And I think that was the only one. Oh yeah, and this is recommended to keep in the fridge or the freezer. The bug burger. Yeah, so I don't know. Try opening it. So it's in this little mesh bag. It's like some kind of dry cake. Like really gross brownie mix or something. I don't know what this is. I assume it's a heating pack. I don't think this is part of anything I ordered. Oh, oxidation of iron. This could be iron oxide. I'll put on one of those gloves just in case, but I think I can handle some of this, and it looks like it might be iron. Yeah, I can't tell whether this is like iron or some kind of biological compound or something, but it looks like it could just be iron filings or something like that. Yeah, that could be right. Iron powder, salt water, vermiculite, and some filler. This does seem like it would be about that consistency. Little, like, cookies of it. It is fairly heavy. Well, alright. Oh, magnetic. Yeah, we can check whether they're magnetic. I've got a magnet here on my desk, which is not easy to get in frame. Yeah, it is magnetic. Let me get a magnet that I can actually put in frame, maybe. Hard disk magnet. It's not extremely magnetic, but it's pretty magnetic. So yeah, it's probably iron hot pack. Alright, can we check on the bug temperature too? I need to check what their optimum temperature is. It's like 70 here, which is probably a little bit cool for them. It seems like putting them on top of my rack, not near the rack exhaust, because the rack exhaust is much too hot, but just on top of the rack might actually be about the right temperature. But that's also susceptible to drafts, so I'll have to be careful with that. Closet's probably the safest place for them. Oh, there's one. Now I need to find it again. It was sitting still, but probably still isn't now. Oh. Yeah, I've kind of lost him. Wow. Keep an eye out for my little leaf litter friends, yeah. Oh yeah, Tuco might have a problem with them if I put them on top of the rack. That's a good point. Oh, it smells nice in here. Smells like a forest. Alright, well, let's put them, I guess I will put them on the rack for now. And then we can open up the next box here. And or talk about meta stuff, I don't know. Might need to bring back AWS. Yeah, small segment of forest is pretty much it. Oh, Tuco might also destroy the cheesecloth on here. Okay, so I've got it over. Got my little forest over here for now. Don't know what the condensation patterns are going to end up looking like longer term. All right. Oh, I should make some of that bug food for them. I was just putting it in the fridge, but I'm realizing like I should probably feed them. Maybe I should give them a little bit of a chance to hang out and get used to the new environment before I put a bunch of confusing food in there. But yeah, maybe like later today or in the next couple days, I'll give them some of the bug burger and see if they enjoy that. It's basically like a nutrient-rich gelatin. Like you add a scoop of this powder and a couple of scoops of boiling water, and then it turns into this little gelatin layer that you can cut up into squares and feed your bugs. They are kind of camera shy, yeah. Just in general, I mean, it's a pretty big container now with only like 10 bugs in it, so they've got a lot of room to hide from the camera. Okay, well, I think I'm going to open these in roughly the order they arrived in, I think, which means probably this big one first, so maybe we'll go in descending order of size. I might also try to clean this up a little bit. A little wet, that's fine. Alright, I think we can open it on this side. I want to take the custom slip instead of trying to cut through the custom slip. Mecha isopods live in desk litter. I like that. That would be great if we ended up with little self-assembling isopods made out of desk detritus. The isopods I got are good at producing eggs, and then the eggs do a lot of self-assembly. Oh, I should have like properly announced this package, so sorry, I'm getting carried away here. This comes from Munat in Belgium. It is made of many bubbles. Ooh, anti-static. Oh my gosh. It is a board with many IOs here. So this is an FPGA board based on the Xilinx Zinc, which is an ARM9 and fairly large FPGA in a single system on chip. And this was a donation from, I believe, TNT. Thank you. We'll get into some like somewhat larger scale FPGA projects with this. Get properly grounded and then open this up. Oh, that's really cool. And the Z board, right? Yes, it is not Z. And it has a built-in OLED, which is kind of fun. That OLED actually goes through this thing on the underside and attaches. Oh yeah, he warned me about this power supply modification here, which was I think intended to beef up the 3.3 volt rail. I might have to check my notes on that. But yeah, I think this was increasing the current capacity on one of the existing power supplies. That is indeed a heatsink. Underneath this is the system on chip. So this is the FPGA plus ARM9 under there, and then we've got RAM. I think one of the interesting things about this is that it is like a really kind of big, full-scale system on chip that happens to also have an FPGA on there. So you can have peripherals that you design on the FPGA that are like first-class citizens on the ARM's memory bus, which is pretty exciting. It's got these PMOD connectors that we've been using, kind of familiar. Switches and buttons and OLED. This is some kind of high-speed I/O for daughter boards that you can build, I guess. I don't know, there might be things that you can buy that plug in there also. It's handy having some extra ground posts. It's pretty cool. Oh, that's neat. It has a mezzanine connector that works with the FX3 board that Vince sent. That's pretty cool. And is that X80C? I don't know what that is either. Also, and this looks like, is this HDMI out? Yeah, HDMI out, gigabit Ethernet, audio. It's just power in and out, JTAG. Two separate USB here, one for UART and one for USB on the go. That's interesting that the USBs have some like conformal coating or something on them. Oh, and a fun decoupling cap layout. Oh yeah, on top there. That is pretty fun. So yeah, JTAG, a couple of USBs with goop around them. Power supplies. That's cool. Oh, select UART voltage. Or no, voltage adjust, not UART. VAdge. No USB. It has multiple USB over here. It's got UART and USB on the go. So I think this USB on the go is connected to a USB controller on the system on chip, whereas this... Is this actually USB even? I would expect this to be USB. Is the controller just on the other side? Yeah. And is that a 5 for the USB? It's interesting, the UART has a Cypress chip on the back. I wonder if they actually implemented the UART in software themselves. The web version of Quartus. What's this one? Oh, that's Flash. So this is, I guess, a little bit of extra flash memory. I don't know how big that one would be. And then SD card. Yeah, that's very nice. And that's the back of the OLED connector. Some beefed up power supplies. That looks like a Maxim multi-voltage DC to DC converter. Probably for 3v3 and 1.2 volts or something. Whatever the core voltage is here. Well, that's great. We could definitely do some higher end FPGA experiments here. Try to figure out what we should do with that. Because I mean, it might be interesting, you know, if folks are interested in more of this FPGA development. We could do more work with video. We could do more work with kind of ARM and RISC-V stuff. Yeah. Thanks so much, TNT. This will be a great great addition to the stream. We can do some experimenting with the Zinc processor. Let's keep that handy. More packaging material to hide from Tuco. Alright, let's take a look at another package from today's post office haul here. This one comes in from Citrus Circuits from Derek. Make sure we get a new file for this. Oh, interesting. Emily suggests doing some FPGA sound processing. Yeah, totally. I think it would be interesting, like, I would love to do some more structured kind of FPGA project videos. And maybe this is something to talk about some more in the context of some of the editing work I've been doing, but I feel like I don't really know how to hit the sweet spot in terms of FPGA projects yet. Like, I don't know what would be useful to teach. I mean, do you want to learn digital logic? Do you want to learn specifically like audio processing? And then I feel like what I'll often run into with an FPGA project is like, well, why is this an FPGA project? Why isn't this just running on a general purpose computer? Why isn't this just written in JavaScript, right? And I often have to make up a reason. It's like, well, this isn't written in JavaScript because we wanted to learn how to do it the hard way. But like a lot of the time, you know, like what's interesting to me is this is a way of teaching the really low-level parts of how something works, but then like you have to cheat a little bit to get to the end goal without it having been kind of a roundabout way to get there. So I find that kind of weird sometimes, and it'd be interesting to try to come up with some like projects where an FPGA really isn't just about learning digital logic there, but it is actually just like a legitimately good way to get the problem solved. And you know, you end up with some stuff that's sort of graphics related, where you could do this on maybe a GPU, but an FPGA is lower power. It's just I don't often see the kind of low power, kind of small, low cost optimization angle being really important or interesting to hobbyists. So it's like I don't really know how much of that to pursue. Oh yeah, I put the bugs just on top of the server rack for now, but they're just, I can still see them from here. Anyway. Oh, that's cool. Photosynth theremin. Sweet. Oh, well, this is great. This is from Derek at Citrus Circuits. This is the Photosynth theremin kit. It comes with a nice sticker to add this to my rack. That's cool. Sweet. This is juicy. I approve of the name. Cool. I got some build instructions. You've got the clear bag, the antistatic bag, build instructions. There's a video assembly guide. Oh, this is great. Well, I should definitely film this with the intent of it just being like a standalone kind of video. So let's take a brief look at this, but then I want to keep this together so I can do like a proper unboxing and kit video on this soon. This is great. So we got assembly instructions. 555, LM386, LM324. Oh, this seems like a lot of fun. I like these kind of electronic musical instrument kits. And I've never actually built an optical theremin. Like, it seems like the sort of thing that I should have built a couple of at least. Oh, a rear emitting surface mount LED. That's cool. ananas. Fire detector emitter. This is great, good printed schematics for everything. Let's ditch the peanuts before my cat gets into them. And yeah, let's take a peek in this. What do you think? Should we do the whole assembly today, or should we just kind of peek inside everything and then save a proper stream for this later? I feel like this is going to take long enough that I want to save a bit more time for it than to just do it as part of a kind of multi-purpose stream like this. But got some through-hole parts. It's got a nice big through-hole speaker here too, and some thumb wheels, and battery holder. Ooh. Oh, that's really pretty. Oh, I like that a lot. I figured that's what the rear LED is for. It'll light up the citrus. Very nice. So we got a board and the acrylic backplate, I think that is. Oh, that's great. Oh, and then some good standoff hardware. And some chippies. Oh, that is nice. Well, cool. Well, thanks so much, Derek. This looks like a lot of fun. I'm going to put this aside and we can do a proper build stream on this shortly when I'm not trying to multitask this much. This looks like something I want to take some time with. Sweet. I will go ahead and put the sticker on my rack, though. Thank you. That's great. I think the next box is also going to be something that we're going to want to do like a whole stream on soon, but I can at least take a quick peek at it and show you what we got. Alright, then here's the next thing we got in the mail. Let's get another file. Oh yeah, Cake says that the Citrus's hot air solder leveling hassle goes well with its solder mask. That is true, it is a great combination there. Nice, shiny, kind of soldery plating there. Alright, this one is the smallest. I think it'll be pretty great though. Gotta have this anti-wobble stabilization going though. Alright, so this one comes from Mike Harrison. And I think Mike already put up a video about this, so you might have some idea of what this could be. Ooh, we got some big old wing nuts. Oh, these are for Tuco. Oh, yes. Oh, thanks so much, Mike. Hey, Tuco. Okay, I don't know where Tuke's hanging out, but I'm gonna see if he likes these as soon as I've found him. Oh, this is great. Aw. So these are flathead. I'm not sure what screw thread this is, but these seem like the kind of thing he'd be into. Oh, well, thank you. And then we got a circuit board in here. The etherdecode.com. Oh yeah. So this is pretty cool. This was a little bit random, but I was just noticing on Twitter somebody posted some traces showing some 10 base T Ethernet packets on the oscope. And 10 base T is actually kind of nice because the modulation goes completely quiet between packets, and it's simple enough. Like, I think it's just Manchester encoding or biphase encoding or something like that. The modulation is simple enough. You can read the ones and zeros right off the scope pretty easily. Whereas 100 base T and especially gigabit are really way more complicated than you could want to take apart by hand on a scope. Part of it is that on 100 base T you have 3 signal levels instead of 2. It's like plus, minus, and 0 instead of 1 and 0. But the biggest thing is that on 100 base T you don't have like an easy to see relationship between the bits you're sending and the states on the wire, because there's this continuous scrambling that goes on to kind of equalize the DC level on the twisted pair that you're transmitting on. If you just look at the plus and minus on the scope, it just looks like line noise most of the time. It looks like random numbers. So this is a product from Mike which sits in line between 2 devices. You can also use it on its own. Like, you can configure this to be like a packet capture device that your switch sends all of the packets to. But usually what you do is you'd put this in line, so you have your computer connected to one thing and your device under test connected to the other port, or your device under test and the network switch, for example. And then this would act as a pass-through, but it would also have an Ethernet PHY that decodes the packets and a little FPGA that formats them to be easy to see on your oscilloscope's logic analyzer. So if you have a logic analyzer with at least 8 inputs, or even better if you have a couple more. So this gives you D0 through D7 plus T and M, which I forget what those stand for off the top of my head, but they're like alignment signals that help you see the packets on the oscope. And so Mike's actually already recorded a video where he does a demonstration of this, and there's some features where you can, so like count, for example. I thought that was pretty cool. You can temporarily have it output a counter instead of the data bits, so that you can see what bit is what on your scope. You can kind of like line up a cursor on a particular bit and then flip it back to the data and see what that data bit was. So yeah, super handy. So this connects to a logic analyzer. Like, if you have a mixed signal oscilloscope, it would connect to your oscilloscope. If you have like a Celia logic or like a logic shrimp or something like that, it would connect to whatever logic analyzer you have. And then this is Ethernet pass-through, so you can kind of snoop in on your Ethernet connection and see either the receive or the transmit side of it and get the packets decoded as bytes on this side. So yeah, I think one of these is a clock if you want. And it's like a 13.5 megahertz clock, if I remember right. But yeah, this is great. This is another thing where I want to do like a more proper stream where we talk about this, and I'm not really set up to do that right now, but I thought we would at least unbox it and get a little bit of footage, and then I can do a proper stream on it a little bit later. Oh, and then I think Vince just linked to Mike's video about that, if I understand right. Oh yeah, TNT points out that Mike's company is White Wing Logic, and I wonder if that's related to the White Wing nuts. That is true. These are Mike's Electric Stuff White Wing Logic branded cat toys now. Gosh, where did Tuco go? I'm gonna take a quick look for him. Hey, Tuco, sir. Oh, there he is. Tuco's on the couch. Oh yeah, that's a good question for a potential FPGA project. Could we do some kind of like video combiner multiplexer thing? Yeah, I've got 2 comments on that. One is that, like, as TNT is explaining in chat, that would require frame buffering. like in general, unless you have multiple sources that are just perfectly synchronized to each other, you're going to need to buffer up to an entire frame. But the other thing I had to say about that maybe is that's pretty much the same problem that the folks who designed the Tandberg C90 that we were tearing around a while ago that they were solving. So we could look at how that system is designed, and potentially even try making our own bit streams for that board if we wanted to try getting it, you know, from that angle, kind of seeing it, seeing that section of the stack. Oh, cool. Let me see if Tuco wants one of these bolts. I don't want to disturb him when he's asleep, but it seems like he was a little bit awake already. Oh, what a good cat. Oh, Tuke's great. Alright, well, I'll keep this other wing nut handy for when he loses that one. Well, thanks so much for the board and for the cat toys, Mike. I will do a stream dedicated to this in the near future, and we can try to think of a good project to analyze with this. One thing that we do actually have handy, I have this network of robots that use 100 base T Ethernet. We could look at the robots on the oscilloscope pretty easily with this, and that might be pretty neat. But yeah, let me know if you have any ideas out there. Let me know in the comments or my direct messages on whatever social media platform you can find me on. And I feel like this would also be useful for cases like some of the glitching that we were doing a while ago, where you want to trigger either a glitching setup or the oscilloscope on something that is maybe very closely related to the data that you're seeing on the Ethernet connection. Oh, that's a good question. TNT is wondering if the HDMI PMOD could send sound as well, on the assumption that sound is hidden in the H blank or something. Yeah, that's a good question. I know if you're generating the TMDS codes yourself, you could use that to send sound. I don't know if that encoder IC actually encodes sound. Maybe we can try to figure that out. What was that encoder? The TMS 410? TFP 410. Yeah, it would be cool if you could send audio also, wouldn't it? Without any extra pins. I'm just like searching the datasheet for the words sound and audio and not seeing anything. But I don't actually know how HDMI encodes the audio. How many specs am I going to have to read to actually answer this question? Because this is basically a DVI transmitter. Okay, HDMI sends auxiliary data using 4-bit 10B encoding during the data island period. Each data island period is 32 pixels in size, contains the 32-bit packet header, 8 bits of error correction. This seems like it's encoded very differently than the pixels, so I wouldn't expect this chip to handle audio. Ooh, you can also send color gamut metadata along the same channel. Interesting. Tuco has the floor and the couch, yes. Yeah, my read of this situation is that I don't think that something like the TFP410 could send audio, but if you know any more about this, I'd love to hear about it. Well, I think that was basically my plan for the stream so far. We did the opening things and a little bit of talking. We could do some more talking. I could just get back to video editing, which is basically what I've been trying to do. I could just try to share my plight with you all and see what that leads to. I don't know. Okay, we've got the right computer. Done the scanning cycle. Okay. Oh gosh, I have such a hard time editing with this few pixels. I'm not used to doing editing on 1080p. Okay. Oh, how do I even explain this mess? So this starts with a bunch of streams, right? We do a project on video. In this case, I've got this sorted by date, and not all of these are actually filming dates. Some of these are just post-processed videos, but most of these folders are 1 day of filming. Some of them are just post-processed. The ones that were actually real filming days, if you open them up, then I've mostly processed these into these multi-camera timelines. So if you open one of these, then you see this is like 1 day of filming. And so all of these clips here, that's when I had the DSLR running. This is when I had the stream running. And this is the auxiliary video recorder. So you can see all these at the same time. Actually, that doesn't work. I don't actually know how to see the multi-camera view while I have that open in the timeline. But if I turned off these tracks, you could see the other track. Usually what I'm doing here is just getting this particular timeline just chronologically lined up, which I can do mostly automatically, but then I have to come back and kind of tidy it a little bit. And then once I have these, I'll kind of assemble it into master timelines that I'll start carving up per project, and then try to get those per project timelines edited into something that resembles final videos. So that's mostly what I've got here in this top folder that's mostly off screen. Here. Okay, this top folder. So then, this is the one that's most finished right now. This is like the first episode of this kind of FPGA video, this like LED driver project. And so this is what happens when I take the project footage, edit it down such that I've kind of removed all the boring parts and kind of preserved a couple of maybe interesting storylines, and then oh gosh, where did this come from? Why do I have a gap in the audio right here? But yeah, so like this one is mostly done, but it needs some final work. It also probably needs some like intro and outro kind of material that I can record separately. Oh, is it gonna render audio previews for like, oh my gosh, this is one of my least favorite features. It's like, I don't know what I did, but like, I need to play this and it doesn't have that rendered, so it's gonna sit here for an indeterminate amount of time, in this case like an hour, and render. I mostly just wanted to know why I had a gap there. Plays. We're using the power of a hardware description language, in this case an industry standard one called Verilog, to get a little bit of a shorthand in describing how data flows between registers, but we're still kind of defining the hardware in and that time it came out just fine. Pretty closely onto gates on the FPGA. This has enough circuitry to select one voltage light and display data on I/O. And then using that liquid display, and that's scanning working FPGA, just board filter. Working with this board, working with this tool called ISO, kind of hybrid graphical and textual design tool. This is power cable 5 volts. Shifters over here. 2 side-to-side PMOD connectors. Blank, serial clock. B, 2 bits each. So is that 2 parallel rows on the... Okay, I didn't want to just like jump into solving individual low-level problems, but anyway, I could just like work on this and make it better. Like, I don't know why I have a missing bit of audio here is like the thing that's bothering me right now. If I'm doing this on stream, it would be useful to maybe have a higher level discussion about what I'm even doing here, but I don't know how to manage all the different levels of abstraction here. Like, how do I deal with all the individual problems that I just need to solve to get videos out while also handling the higher level problems? And how do I get those all, like, how do I have useful discussions about all these things? And I don't know if I can do, I mean, I feel like there's a bunch of people out there who seem to just really like me to stream all the time, despite how it feels like I'm not actually accomplishing anything. They just want me to be streaming. And I don't find that extremely useful. I feel like it's an easy thing to do, but it's not actually something that seems worth doing. So like, I could just be streaming all the time, whatever, but I don't think that would be good. I don't think that would actually lead anywhere. I think it would just be like I don't want to be some talking head internet personality. I want to be like accomplishing something here. I want to be like making something that is worth documenting. I want to be, you know, producing a video that is useful for something. I don't want to just be taking up time for the purposes of filling space, you know. So yeah, I don't know how to do this on stream. Like, I don't know how to actually talk about what I'm doing. I've just been trying to organize this and to break the problem down into different pieces. For example, this is a piece that knows how to generate the timing, so figuring out when to start displaying some row. Maybe I'll just talk less and just try to get more work done. Panel, it doesn't actually have any smarts in the individual. This panel, it doesn't actually have any smarts in the individual LEDs. This is more like what you'd use to build a big video wall. The Hub 75E style 64 by 64 2mm pitch LED displays. We're using the power of a hardware description language, in this case an industry standard one called Verilog, to get a little bit of a shorthand in describing how data flows between registers, but we're still kind of defining hardware in these modules that map pretty closely onto gates on the FPGA. This has enough circuitry to select one row of the display and display data on that row, and then you can just do that really quickly to scan through all the rows in the display, and then that scanning is what we're implementing on the FPGA, which is this board under all the clips here. Working with this board, we're working with this tool called Studio. It's kind of a hybrid graphical and textual design tool. This is just a power cable for 5 volts for these level shifters over here, 2 side-to-side PMOD connectors, blank 0 clock, B, 2 bits each, so that 2 parallel rows on PMOD. R, G, and B, 2 bits each. So is that 2 parallel? I don't even know how I did that. Like, how did I resize that clip? Was that me? Did I forget to lock my computer and then Tuco walked across the keyboard? Like, it stresses me out so much doing stuff that I can't keep in version control sometimes. I think that's the way it was supposed to be. This is also a little slower than usual, because I think I've got a bunch of clips that are not rendered here for some reason. I don't have anything rendered. If I wasn't streaming, this would be a great time to just render it all and go for a coffee break. So is that 2 parallel? Yeah, so I don't know what to do on stream. I feel like the thing that would be the most effective to do would be to just like stop streaming and try to concentrate on video editing and just get a bunch of these episodes out and not worry too much about the context, just try to get them out and get done with them. Just worry less about whether it's the right thing and just finish it, because I've already committed to it basically. Like, it's not like I'm going to decide not to release it at this point. I'm just going to finish it and then worry about choosing what the next thing to do. You know, worry about that later. Oh, that's cool. There's an extra blade hidden in the back of this knife. So much rendering. See, like, that rendered the first little bit of this, but I don't know why the rest of this did not render. I don't think I cleared my temporary disks. This panel, it doesn't actually have any smarts in the individual LEDs. This is more like what you use to build a big video wall. The Hub 75E style 64 by 64 2mm pitch LED displays. We're using the power of hardware language, in this case, industry standard one called to get a little bit of shorthand in describing how data flows between registers, but we're still kind of defining hardware in these modules that map pretty closely onto gates in FPGA. This has enough circuitry to select one row of display and display data on that row, and then you can just do that quickly scan through all the rows display, and then scanning is what we're implementing in FPGA, which is the board here. Working with this board, Studio, kind of hybrid graphical and textual design tool. This is just power cable for 5 volts for these level shifters, 2 side PMOD connectors, link 0 clock, R, G, and B, 2 bits each, so that's 2 parallel rows. PMOD got your data on one connector, and address 1 clock connector. This is 274, 245, buffers for each level shifter. 1 seconds. So this first episode kind of goes from like getting the boards to getting the scanning working, to having something that is like not really tidy, but kind of scans and kind of works, and then the next episode picks up there, but I'm not quite sure where the boundary between 2 and 3 are going to be yet. Studio thing, which is kind of a graphical designer that incorporates a node-based layout like you might be familiar with from something like Max MSP. It also has those nodes built using Verilog. Let's get the PLL started. That's 30 first. 1 o'clock, 30 hertz, that's the source. We can check 30 hertz by multiplying clock up to 960 hertz, value back down to 30 hertz. The PLL repeatable up to 30 hertz. This is like the IE comes to FPGAs. It's NVIDIA, single thing solved, chance board, and chance IO, and physical operating documentation, basic graphical, and then within the graphical elements you have code, this maps to a specific hard macro FPGA. There's implemented integral code just like you're referring to. And these parameters, anything called stream and ground flags, incorporate into that specific model is based. There's like 2 options for the FPGA, like the file. So this will be on the right side looking. Then only on this should increase the flash rate. Oh, sweet, and it's locked. Let's see what this is clock 30. Now I'll just take this and use the library command. So I'm interested in here is the clock and latch are positive 30. Output enable is negative 30, but all people choose to write that as blank. So if you write it as blank, you're positive. This is latch on positive edge. So this is the clock. Personally, that thing now. Outputs would be channels. I just don't really think about a gate clock or not. And I also imagine having logic run twice via government, but it seems like there's logic runs in base process. What if I connect the clock directly to that clock and there's always clocking out 30 hertz? Would work with a problem. That's actually what I want. I think I actually want to stop the clock while I'm watching. So I think I actually want to pulse on this clock during classical or actually clocking out a bit. Say I wanted to just clock out a single bit. So at some point that bit gets flashes on the internal clock. Some data there. Let's say at the same time we have an enable signal. It's kind of idea. Got one classical idea. These are some yet to be named internal signals for one clock. It's not quite that. So you can have one directional clock. I take this clock and end of the signal. This edge here is always going to come after. This edge doesn't small enough to make logic. So the end there, that was very interesting. If it's high and it's going low though, I can see that being a problem. So if that were to issue like this, we have a clean edge. I get a clean edge because there's no changing. And I'm here. It's low high before it goes low. So we actually get an edge. And then it goes low after the signal starts propagating. So I get a glitch. That's what we avoid in copying. So I can drive this input clock from negative channel voltage. This is for VDR, most of the purpose. So you have to make an instance of these circuit FPGAs. Usually have you can specify your options. You can see that it has like 5 flip-flops and multiplexers. That's flip-flop for positive and negative clock edges. Well, so you get one negative, you get 0 for that, you get 0 regardless. That's better. This is useful for next time the data logic clock on each registers. Next is a problem to represent too many. You have to refresh. I think it's going to be from the bottom. So I get clock. Very tiny there and build up until you get pixels. So I guess this is having the next line signal, and then when the next line signal starts, probably just one clock cycle. That's what triggers where doing pixels, start showing pixels in this model. And the next line signal could be synchronous with something that we're talking about. We only use count 60 pixels. So making a send car, we can overflow and use the indication done. This is already connecting. This is already doing some data information. So we can go back to here. Now we're doing some car. Okay, just read the box so far. We got the latches. Got this model is doing a lot of keeping track of pixels. So these ones from. Alright, this is the place where we get the time generation. Okay, I think that's the staging. Here's the full thing. So next line again, just pulse once. That top trace is going to be blank. The next one behind is latch. So we're looking at well before latch now. It seems like we're enabling up one clock too early. We're getting an entire clock cycle here to apply, and then we like to apply a new pattern. So I expect that to be resistant to effects. So we've got one level that's clocking, one level that's moving right now as we can, and then a staging generates same time. Straight stuff. That's pretty much what I expect. And how you're seeing this what happens if you send the horizontal coordinate as a line number in 0 you send that directly to registers. This is the lower forgets, the pattern, this is the top forgets, so you're seeing the same pattern but spread out over groups of tables. And then we get this here. Single program, 16 deploy. This is the program if you want to use that. I'd be using pretty much all the embedded RAM on this chip if I wanted to kind of 18 bit pixel situation. If you have a big micro not have to manually fetch one different every time. That would be a lot. I mean, it's a using line lines as a frame. I'm thinking let's use one of these RAM 28s as a line. Alright, so this is the pixel for RAM, which is not happening yet. And the RAM needs to have this model actually pixels out. So it has the line for frame level. So there's always bringing it up to 1000, right? We address and output enable and then here's the other side. Okay, so now we need to code this module that can sequence reads from RAM and pixels out every time. Give them the way I here would imply you have access to the entire pixel. You want to read clock cycle. It actually has 1 bit per channel. So this really needs to be a bit plain number, not give them. And I get the bits and allocate different length of enables to this. So and you're going to get there in each column of this RAM. Ours is getting out to the ADs. So it's spreading loop on half, loop off. I am writing RAM once per line. I'm reading RAM probably once per line per modulation step. I got 2 different things you might be doing on the next 64 pixels to shift out, or might be doing for timer levels along the enables you want to be doing that better. But it's not like we're liking that. It's at the beginning of our timed cycles, little plain size modulation cycles. Like you're going to calculate the value really on the timer. So always open line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If this is the first line, then also start generating line gap buffer. And if it's our percent proof, if it's unlikable, then we actually play into the timer. So it's not easy to line to clock out and we the timer. I'm going to proceed multiple finished. Yeah, let's do this finish 16, it's just plain. This is looking correct so far. I think we're correctly bringing a very black frame at the moment. So it's something RAM maybe. Right, so this renders RAM, this contains RAM in the inside everything. That's the output. This is the clock gate control in the DR style output. Alright, that's all listening. This is all these outputs that you're looking at the box. So this is kind of page kind of. Alright, this is starting to be a little again. So we've got everything in here. Pretty much we're for this, we're writing pixels in order to bed. So we're writing 1 pixel at a time and reading 1 bit at a time. And so this is kind of wording for let's process pixels and digital once per bit thing. This is kind of what we have to deal with like trying to get dynamics. Here wants 1 bit each from 6 pixels like cycle. So what I can do is generate 6 pixels and then you have to go to this memory. I think room for another model here, so like a shader controller, I think. Something that can ask another model to generate pixel value at the coordinate and then set the pixel value correctly. Let's just use that first. So we're throwing away all the bits except for 1 clock cycle. This is where we should be storing value in once. So I'm going to break this map. So our x coordinate is 1 pixel and our y coordinate is the combination of either and we're forming RT0 or RT1. I think it's 8, is that right? Oh yeah. I think I'll have 1 pixel on each axis, but otherwise that's pretty good. The control seems good. This is basically 8 color for channel control. Logic registers, and we're still just one of these because our timer is expired, and then you're going next time. This is full width scope right now. That is one frame blank on display because I'm going to wait. So we have a little here, like a little around the average and the first period, longer period, longer period. You can see the least bit 8 and then 9, the 10, 11, most bit 15. So just have to do which will flexibly be size according to these parameters. And the number is the average. Use for buffer toggle, so in this case we're using the least significant bit. What I want here is not just like a bunch of increasingly complicated modules, but I want to try to have a collection of simple modules that work together. So this needs the scan plane done out and begin in, and that comes from the scan controller, which is another piece we should be extracting. So these aren't necessarily parameters that correspond to the physical shape of the display. It's more like the logical, like electrical matrix layout. So it's the number of pixels on the shift register chain, the number of separate multiplexing steps we need to do display, and the number of simultaneous lanes that we have, minimum plane duration. What I can do is kind of write stations. This first stage is think about what you want all the registers in design, so if it has a checklist of registers, figure out what you do each state. That can use for what with us. So this is acting for the selecting Alright, one thing that's useful to do, at least simultaneous lanes of output that we have. Minimum plane duration. Alright, one thing that's useful to do, at least I find this useful when I'm writing state machines, is for every state, just think about what you want all the registers in the design doing. Just like treat that as a checklist, go through the registers, figure out what they should all do in each state. And that can be useful for sorting through a larger problem like this. So this is adapting sort of a regularized bus width, which is a little bit bigger than we actually need it to allow for some alternative uses. It's adapting that to the actual size that we have. If we wanted fewer bits of brightness control, but faster refresh, we could take the same design and change the number of planes, for example. We also change the duration. Look at the output from synthesis to see how many block grams this turned into. It should be 2 or 3. 2. Great. We're only using a little bit of the FPGA so far. So this is totally just a stand-in, but what this fundamentally needs to do is it gets a signal when we're beginning the line, and it needs to effectively reset the state machine in here and have it start processing a new line. This is our shader module thing. Pretty wide X and Y buses, a wide RGB bus. Begin pixel is a strobe signal. It goes high for one clock cycle on the same cycle that X and Y are valid, and then pixel done goes high on the same cycle that the RGB output is valid for that same input. I'm going to realize why you generate the little gas mason. No. Pixel done. No. Pixel done. I'm just realizing I've been doing all my editing on a keyboard with a really weird layout. No. Pixel done. Doing it on this keyboard is going to throw me off. Good. No. Pixel done goes high on the same cycle that the RGB output is valid for that same input. Alright, so that's a thing. And then pixel done goes high on the same cycle that the RGB output is valid for that same input. Alright, so that's a thing that we could write as a shader kind of thing. So the next block is kind of the thing that goes in between this and the interface we have. So these were like LED refresh, LED line buff, line scan. I would like to have something which is about the memory state machine and something which is about the shape of the address. I would like to have something which is about the memory state machine and something which is about the shape of the addressing. This is going to stick the output into some temporary location, either a really tiny RAM or flip-flops. I can really tiny RAM just to turn the data 90 degrees. I'll need to send the data out time. So this is stuff right here, the line buff. We need to send the data out in this planar order. And we're going to divide it in this with being able to see or getting out in some flip-flops. This actually might need another little tiny RAM just to like turn the data 90 degrees. Well, we need to send the data out in this planar order, but we probably want to generate it one pixel at a time. And so this buffer up here, the line buff, this lets us generate the data and scan it at different speeds, and it lets us scan it multiple times and generate it once. It doesn't actually help us do that 90-degree rotation. We don't want to write what would be a single word and then the next word and the next word. We want to write like the least significant bit on a bunch of words and the next bit on a bunch of words, etc. The state machine would need to iterate over probably first the pixel and then the lane, just do those in order. It would need to collect all the pixels for all the lanes and then write those to RAM in a different order. Okay, I think like that was pretty much where I wanted to end the first episode. So it just kind of sits there, but I think after a little bit of voiceover and maybe some clips from elsewhere, we could make that kind of be a good outro. And then I need to record some kind of intro because it also just kind of starts here. This panel, it doesn't actually have any smarts in the individual LEDs. This is more like what you use to build a big video wall. Okay, let's duplicate this just in case I fat finger something again. Alright, and then I have, this is like effectively episodes 2 and 3, which haven't been split yet. Then I've also just got some like intro footage that still I don't know if I'm going to use or even not. This is the least edited. So I've got this. So I've got this. So I've got this. I'm too going to jump up here right now. Hi. Got this. Me too. Don't need that. Don't need anything off the desk. There's nothing on the desk right now. I think he just wants to hang out in the back now. Oh, it is a little square. Alright, so oh, it is a little square. A little circuit board square. Got a little circuit board square with tiny dots on the other side. Oh my gosh, they're so tiny. Geez, this makes my eyes go cross-eyed looking at it. They're so tiny. So this is an LED panel. How many LEDs is this? Like 128? Am I gonna have to count them? Stand by. That's 8. Where am I thinking? That's 16. Okay, this is a 64 by 64 panel. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so this is great. You know, years ago I worked on a video game console that had a 128 by 128 pixel screen. You could easily close that LEDs out before these. Yeah, this is pretty great. Wow. And so this needs 5 volts and ground. Two mentions there's usually a cable for this, just didn't end up in this box, but will be in a different box. But for now I can just use some clips together. I didn't like any of those clips, but I should include something about the dimensions. Here's the they're so tiny. Jeez, this makes my eyes go cross-eyed looking at it. They're so tiny. Okay, this is a 64 panel. Okay. Yeah. Okay, this is a 64 by 64 panel. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so this is great. You know, years ago I worked on a video game. You could easily make one of those out of LEDs and have this work. Yeah, this is pretty great. Wow. So this needs 5 volts and ground. Two mentions there's usually a cable for this, just didn't end up in this box, but will be in a different box. But for now I can just use some clips to get on there. And then we've got data in and out, so you can daisy chain these. And then I haven't actually looked at the protocol for these, but I think the way they work, the protocol for, and then I haven't actually looked at the protocol for these, but I think and then I haven't actually looked at the protocol for these, but I think the way they work is you select like a row or you select like a row or a column, and you've got one column at a time, and then you shift in. And then I haven't actually looked at the protocol for these, but I think the way they work is you select like a row or a column, and you've got one column at a time, and then you shift in. Like I think there's like a shift register and then a column select, so you can sweep across columns and then shift data one per row. But or the way the channel blocks are. Like I think there's like a shift register and then a column select, so you can sweep across columns and then shift data one per row. Or vice versa. But across columns and then shift data one per row, but or vice versa. But yeah, that's great. So I'm 75E. A lot of people seem to use Hub 75 to describe this, yeah. And then shift data one per row, but oh, this is the same kind, the Adafruit cells. Yeah, I haven't actually played with these yet. They seem interesting. The same kind, the Adafruit cells. Yeah, I haven't actually played with these yet. They seem interesting. It's a little bit different than it's a little bit different than the typical like LED strips that you've probably seen. The typical like LED strips that you use. It's a little bit different than the typical LED strips that you've probably seen that have APA 102s or WS2812s or similar. These are designed for like big two-dimensional video walls, and so they're designed more with like matrix scanning, where instead of putting a controller chip on each LED, where instead of putting dimensional video walls, where instead of putting a controller chip more with like matrix scanning, where instead of putting a controller dimensional video walls, where instead of putting a controller chip on each LED, they multiplex the LEDs. Column select, so you can sweep across columns and then shift data one per row. But yeah, I haven't actually played with these yet. They seem interesting. It's a little bit different than the typical LED strips that you've probably seen that have APA 102s or WS2812s or similar. These are designed for like big two-dimensional video walls, where instead of putting a controller chip on each LED, they multiplex the LEDs. Oh, okay, yeah, Hub 75 is even in that AliExpress link from Kyoto. Okay. 12 digital pins. Yeah, so it needs much power. So I often have big old wiring harness things, except how bodies together. Wiring harness things. So you'll have a lot of these connect together. Various models. Like a flywire kind of thing if we connect these without, you know, nice breakout boards like what Pierce provided. Anyway, I just hadn't actually seen these, or hadn't like looked at the protocol in detail, so I was curious to find just like a really quick timing diagram or something. Or hadn't like looked at the protocol in detail, so I was curious to find just like a really quick timing diagram or something. This is the same one we were at, right? So yeah, this is interesting. I was a little curious like how the PWM works in here. Like one common way of doing it for multiplex displays like this is you can imagine like dividing each. So if you're scanning all the columns of your display, you can imagine say dividing every column up into maybe one virtual column for every bit in your like color depth, and then sizing that column's time slice according to the weight of that bit. So if you have 8-bit PWM, maybe you have one instance of that column that is 128 clock cycles, and then one instance that's 64 clock cycles, and one instance that's 1 clock cycle, and you turn those on and off. So you have like kind of variable cycle length in your PWM. Oh, okay, Pio mentions that Nick wrote a great SparkFun article on these. Cool, let's head there. Nice, everything you didn't want to know about RGB matrix panels. Multiplex displays like this is you can imagine like dividing each. So if you're scanning all the columns of your display, you can imagine dividing a column up into maybe one virtual column per bit in your color depth, and then sizing that column's or something. I was a little curious like how the PWM works in here. Like one common way of doing it for multiplex displays like this is you can imagine like dividing each. So if you're scanning all the columns of your display, you can imagine. You can imagine like dividing each. So if you're scanning diagram or something. I was curious to find just like a really quick timing diagram or something. So if you're scanning all the columns of your display, you can imagine say dividing every column up into maybe one virtual column for every bit in your like color depth, and then sizing that column's time slice according to the weight of that bit. So if you have 8-bit PWM, maybe you have one instance of that column that is 128 clock cycles, and then one instance that's 64 clock cycles, and one instance that's 1 clock cycle, and you turn those on and off. So you have like kind of variable cycle length in your PWM. Oh, okay, Pio mentions that Nick wrote a great SparkFun article on these. Cool, let's head there. Nice, everything you didn't want to know about RGB matrix panels. Oh yeah, so this is like a 1/8 scan rate means that there's always one of every 8 LEDs visible at a time, I think, if I understand this terminology. Oh yeah, so this is like a 1/8 scan rate means that there's always one of every 8 scan rate means that there's always one of every 8 LEDs visible at a time. Was it visible at a time? I think. So these would actually be a little bit less multiplexed than usual. So you're sending out more data, but the LEDs would maybe flicker a little bit less and have more brightness relative to LEDs peak brightness. So in this case, they're labeling the bits for row addressing A and B. And so A and B, you can think of that as a 2-bit binary. It's like one of these signals. And as long as this is like a 1/8 scan rate means that there's only one of every 8 visible at a time. So in this case, they're labeling the bits for row addressing A and B. And so A and B, you can think of that as a 2-bit you can think of that as a 2-bit binary number that selects one of these 4 signals, and selects one of these 4 binary number that selects one of these 4 signals, and selects one of these 4 transistors. You can think of that as a 2-bit binary number. Selects one of these 4 transistors to be on at a time. That means that with each transistor on, the output driver is lighting up LEDs in that row. The output driver is lighting up LEDs in that row, and the other rows are dark. And so you can sequence things so that you turn on the row transistor, you put something in the output driver latch, or maybe vice versa. Maybe you feed the latch, then you kind of pulse the row select on. There's a separate enable here, so there's probably some sequencing involved in making sure that, you know, as you're switching from one row to the next, that you turn off the output driver so you don't get like the pattern kind of smeared from one to the next. So a little timing involved. Yeah, and that scheme that I was just describing is apparently called binary code modulation. Okay, this might be interesting, but we probably don't need to worry super much about how to represent this in memory right now, because we're not really necessarily going to memory. Yeah. Okay, so there's some weird row mapping. So yeah, something like this, it's not like a very good standalone description. Like if I was setting out to make a video about these LED panels, I could script something that is much better than just grabbing some bits of dialogue from the stream, but like this is maybe some good stuff to use for introducing the video panels on a video that goes into them but isn't specifically about them. This is what I have a lot of trouble with, though. It feels like a lot of this content is hitting this kind of uncanny valley where it's not as produced as I would like if I was making something for a specific purpose, but it's much higher effort than something that's just kind of really truly off the cuff, and that's frustrating because it's like very time intensive but also not as good as I know I could make it, you know. So yeah, that's kind of frustrating. I could just keep doing this on stream. I don't know how interesting that is to folks. It feels like maybe it's not that interesting to do on stream, and I could be doing this with more pixels at a different workstation, but I don't know. Let me know what you think. See what the bug temperature is like. I should really have a thermocouple in there. There's a little bit of warmth in that area of the room. Just like that whole area of the room kind of on top of the rack just gets a little bit of... Actually, that's funny. There's kind of a cold spot near where the fans from the rack blow, though. I wonder if I can get that on screen. There's the bugs. Let's see, that's the vacuum fluorescent display at the top of the pole. But that's like where the bugs are, like 70-ish degrees. And then that's a bunch of glare. It's too much glare to show what I was actually trying to show. Yeah, that's like the plume of warm air coming out of the server rack. But then there's also this kind of weirdly cold area right there too. It's always extra toasty during a stream. Alright, well, I might try to quit while I'm ahead or something here. And get back to work without letting the stream itself drag on too long, but I don't know. I guess I'm still in this place where I'm not really sure how to extremely focus the stuff that I'm doing, and not really sure how to make better progress on that, but right now I'm just trying to edit the video that I have and get that out and figure out where I can go from there. Something about DSi emulation. I've never worked on DSi emulation, but I've done some other DSi stuff. Cat stream? Alright, well this seems like kind of a slow stream day, so I might just kind of wrap up what I've got so far and get back to editing. But thanks so much for hanging out. And a big thanks to everyone who sends stuff in, and folks who contribute to the Patreon to keep this channel going. I will try to get some streams in the near future to dive into the stuff that we've got in the mailbox, but I'm also just still trying to deal with the flood of video footage that I already don't know what to do with, so I'm gonna try to just get some more editing done, but we'll do some video streams pretty soon too. And yeah, if you've got thoughts on this, like how to prioritize the work so far, or what you want to see more of or less of or whatever, then you can drop by the stream chat as you see it on the screen, that gitter.im/scanlime/live. There's also Twitter. If you send me DMs or messages at scanlime, or if you find me on Mastodon, then that works out too. But yeah, I'll be trying to edit some more of this video and try to get some of this FPGA stuff out, and then we can do some more projects. And so yeah, if you like the projects, let me know what kind of things you want to see more of, and I'll try to direct it in that way. Well, thanks everyone. I'll give you a few minutes of cat cam as I wrap this up, but we'll see you all next time. Happy hacking.